most of the people paying daily, $1 a day, 100 megabytes for that. So we say, why don't we sell Wi-Fi access for like 5 times less, and we give them 5 times more access? Over 650 million public Wi-Fi networks around the world, but they have passwords, so you have to log in every time. Our vision is of a unified global network where you as a user through Wayru can connect in your house, and then you can go outside and just get connected in your favorite restaurant, and then get connected on the metro or get connected in the park. Wherever there's connectivity, it should be accessible to anybody who needs that connectivity. And the way to do it universal by using blockchain technology to reward everybody participating and providing this and extending the connectivity that they already have with others around.
Welcome to We Are DePIN, a podcast dedicated to the world of DePIN projects. Every episode, we invite amazing DePIN projects to explain how they're revolutionizing and shaping the future of DePIN and Web3. Our goal is to keep you informed about everything happening in the DePIN space. This podcast is brought to you by Minima, the real-world blockchain. Minima is a device-agnostic and fully decentralized Layer 1 blockchain. It has a lightweight architecture that enables a full node to run on any mobile or IoT device, making it exceptionally adaptable for scaling decentralized physical infrastructure networks. Minima's technology is now supported by an expansive and engaged community of over 50,000 node operators. Join us for the next insightful discussion. Charvel, thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for inviting me.
No, it's my absolute pleasure. It's so good to have you on the We Are DePIN podcast. And we first met at our Token 2049 event in Dubai, and we did like a short sort of TikTok style video with you guys, and that video did fairly well. A lot of people started messaging us about Wayru, and it's something that I've wanted to learn more about ever since, actually. So I guess before we kick off, it'd be good to learn more about Wayru. Like, where did you guys start? Why did you start? What's the story behind it?
Well, yeah, there's so much to talk about why Wayru started, but let me tell you what Wayru is first. Wayru is a decentralized and tokenized internet network focused on democratizing internet access and ownership over internet infrastructures to help close the digital gap around the world by building a unified global Wi-Fi network using blockchain technology. So our goal is to provide affordable, reliable internet to everyone, everywhere. We leverage cutting-edge technology and community-driven efforts to bridge the digital divide and bring connectivity to underserved regions, but also to anybody around the world in big metropolis, big cities that are always on the move, on the go. They could connect to our networks around and save on data.
That's amazing. And so it started out as a mission to make internet access more readily available and also more affordable to people across the world, correct?
Correct. So you have to understand a little bit about my origin story and why I got into telecom in the first place. So when I was in school back in 2011, I had a problem of lack of connectivity myself. So I needed to complete like a task for class, and I needed internet access. I was not at home. I didn't have mobile data, and I was near a cafeteria or mall where I asked for the password in the cafeteria. They said that I needed to buy a coffee. I did. They gave me the password. The Wi-Fi password worked, but the Wi-Fi was not good. It wasn't working, so I couldn't get done what I was needed to do. So I got frustrated. I'm like, why I cannot have internet access while having the means to pay for the internet access myself? So I started digging a little bit more, and I learned that this was a huge problem. Like, a lot of people around the world were having a difficult or hard time to get connected. And in my world, this was like an everyday given thing, right? I used internet for school, for work, for, to learn stuff, to play online and stuff. So I was very amazed, and this problem got me, and I started working around building a solution to provide connectivity to everyone, everywhere in 2011. So I built the first Wi-Fi marketing platform in Latin America. That was like the first step to getting people connected for free and others being able to share the connectivity in a secure way, maybe even in a profitable way. It worked fine. I sold that platform to a company where I worked after for a couple of years as a regional Wi-Fi marketing director, where we built communities and we release networks in over 6 countries. I manage teams in over 6 countries, connecting millions of people along the way. But it wasn't solving the problem that I wanted to solve, which was lack of connectivity. So then I left that company and I built my pretty startup, which was focused on providing connectivity, or it was focused to helping businesses at the bottom of the pyramid to make money by sharing Wi-Fi or by selling micro recharges to their already existing Wi-Fi. And why did we went this way? Because we saw, or the insights that I gathered from my years working in telecom, we understood that most of the people getting mobile access, they were paying daily on their convenience store, like sachet prices for very, very, very limited connectivity. So they were paying, I don't know, $1 a day whenever they needed. So they probably didn't do it every day, but whenever they did it, they got like, I don't know, 100 megabytes for that. So it was crazy. So we said, why don't we sell Wi-Fi access for like 5 times less, and we give them 5 times more access? So we got started on that. It worked great. We got tons of convenience stores, very small convenience stores in Latin America. They started in Ecuador, connected. I went to an accelerator in Chile for this project, but then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, all these stores closed for so long that we had to close the company. So after COVID, well, I got into crypto around 2017. And during COVID, I got into crypto a lot harder. And I started realizing that I could not just become a user or a retail investor, but I could use this technology to continue to build on what I was set out to solve, which was lack of connectivity. So in 2021, I started building Wayru, and here we are today.
That's amazing. And I really want to dig deeper on terms of like what's lacking in the world when it comes to the existing internet infrastructure that something like a decentralized solution can benefit. But I think like it's also important to emphasize the importance of internet access, because we're in developed countries like the UK, like the US. It's very readily available, and people sort of forget the fact that in developing nations it's very limited. And also in a lot of times these people rely on internet access more than people in the West, I would argue, because they have to do it for their banking, they have to do it for payments, they have to, a lot of their salary, it all goes in, it's all their life is from their phone. So that's the thing that's really missing. But I really want to dig deeper in terms of what was missing, I guess, in the centralized world when it comes to internet access. Like what made it so much slower, so like limited access to developing nations, so expensive as well, like you mentioned. So yeah, why do those problems arise?
So there's a lot of problems that the telecom sector has today. One of the biggest problems is the capex, which means they need a lot of money to roll out infrastructure to then go after the clients, right? So that takes a long time. It takes a lot of money. So capex is one of the first problems that decentralized networks solve. Also OpEx, because when you release or when you launch your own network, like let's say a big 5G network, you have operational costs that you have to sustain every single day. Where when you do it in a decentralized way, each hotspot operator takes care of their own hotspot. So you share the rewards, but you also share the responsibility with everybody who is participating on your network. So I also think that providers today, they are focusing on getting more verticals, into more verticals for their existing clientele, or instead of trying to reach more people because of the problems that I just mentioned before. So it's more profitable for them to sell you Netflix through your internet provider or Spotify or whatever they're selling, right? Or Disney Plus, instead of providing connectivity or better connectivity to more places to continue the path that they started on, which is providing connectivity. That's their whole reason for existing. So that's another reason. In emerging markets, sometimes low-income communities or people living in low-income communities or having a low-income situation, they cannot access these providers. They will just not sell to them because they believe that they won't pay in time every month. So they don't qualify. So it's different problems in different places. Now, another problem that you mentioned that I want to address is what's the problem about accessing the networks that are already there today? So you can see over 650 million public Wi-Fi networks around the world, but they have passwords. You cannot access them. You have a lot of different captive portals on each one, so you have to log in every time. So our vision is of a unified global network where you as a user through Wayru can connect in your house, and then you can go outside and just get connected in your favorite restaurant, and then get connected on the metro or get connected in the park. Wherever there's connectivity, it should be accessible to anybody who needs that connectivity. And the way to do it universal is by using blockchain technology to reward everybody participating and providing this and extending or sharing the connectivity that they already have with others around them.
Let's talk about that, because that seems like the catalyst for change when it comes to this industry. So blockchain, decentralization, what does it provide and how does it fix this problem?
Right. So before we get into that, you also mentioned something before that I don't want to miss the opportunity to tell everybody tuning in today, and it's the importance of having affordable internet access, right? So affordable and reliable internet access is crucial for economic development, to get quality education, healthcare, social inclusion, work opportunities, and just to let your mind free and learn stuff that otherwise you wouldn't be able to learn if you're just staring at a wall, right? So by ensuring that everybody has access to the internet, we can promote equality, drive innovation, and we can foster a sustainable development worldwide, not just software development, but the human development around the world. So that's why we believe it's so important. We believe that the internet is the one single thing that has changed the world more than anything else in the history of humanity. And we envision a world where everybody has access to this transformative resource. So going to the next question, and I guess you want to know how this works, right? In our case, in our specific case, let's talk about Wayru. We are a decentralized Wi-Fi network. We have a swarm of Wi-Fi hotspots around the world, and none of them are controlled by us directly. There's no centralized entity controlling them. You, as the hotspot operator, are the one providing the connectivity and earning the rewards for said connectivity. So it involves the distribution of hotspots around the world. It involves community effort deploying these hotspots in the places where connectivity is most used or where it's most needed. So you get the most rewards, and you also provide the most value to the user, right? To whoever needs connectivity. So this approach enhances network resilience, reduces single points of failure, and of course promotes inclusivity by allowing individuals and or communities to own and manage their own connectivity. So it fundamentally shifts the power dynamics from the big telcos back to the people, right? Making the internet more accessible and definitely more democratic.
Let's dig deeper on that. So why has this not been done before in terms of decentralized infrastructure when it comes to connectivity and internet?
You needed blockchain to do it, right? I tried before and it worked at a very local scale. If you in a city have decentralized hotspots, you may not need blockchain because you can go to each one of these operators and get the monthly conciliation of whatever happened on that hotspot. You don't even need that much tech. But if you want to scale it and you want to make it, or you want to build ubiquitous internet connectivity, you needed something like blockchain. And you know that blockchain is still evolving. Blockchain technology is evolving every day. We got new L1s focusing on DePIN. We got big L1s opening DePIN opportunities. But you needed first the technical stack and solution to make this viable, which is just recently available, right? Because other projects have tried for a while, bigger projects, and they're still around because they're resilient, but it's been hard because you needed more than just the tech. Maybe some of the tech stack was there before, but now you need to convince people why this is going to work. You need to try stuff. And I believe that the first movers on the DePIN sector who started, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago, have paved the way for others to follow. So that's one. And then I believe that of course, the power has been centralized in few hands. Why would they want to share that reward that they're getting, right, by owning these infrastructures
That was my next
themselves?
question, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's oligopolies around the world. You cannot say there's a monopoly. There's not just one company owning everything, but there is definitely oligopolies. There's a couple of big companies owning most of the telecom sector per region. Some of them even own the whole sectors or most of the sectors in various regions, going by different names or owning a piece of other companies and stuff like this. So I think, of course, they just don't want to share their profits with the rest, and they just want to piggyback off people's data and people paying the same amount of money every month for a service that you, of course, deployed a while ago, or an infra that you deployed a while ago, and you continue to uh, to get revenue from it, and us as users continue to pay more every time. They also sell you this marketing scheme of you need gigabit speeds in your home to watch, I don't know, Netflix. And that's not true. For you to stream 4K content, you need about 25 megabits of speed to do that successfully. So I think they've been focusing a lot on marketing and why you need something that only they can provide, because they have access to, of course, most of the bandwidth around the world, so they can do with it as they see fit or as they please. So yeah, that I think that's basically it. But that's changing. The DePIN revolution has started, and Wayru is leading the way with Wi-Fi. Others are leading the way with other technologies around telecommunications as well. Others leading the way in different aspects of decentralized infrastructures, not necessarily connectivity. We see cars, we see sensors, we see solar panels, we see car chargers, we see so many use cases. We see GPU and CPU sharing for AI or for rendering. So I think DePIN is going to take over. It's going to be like a new industrial revolution where where machines are autonomous and people can own pieces of machines working autonomously around the world. So I think Wayru fits perfectly there because machines need to be connected. And of course, Wayru can provide that connectivity to machines around the world as well, not just people.
I mean, that's why I absolutely love DePIN, and I think that's why a lot of people who have learned about DePIN fall in love with it straight away, because the infrastructure, the technology is disrupting industries that traditionally you've needed a lot of money to start a business to compete with the incumbents. As you said, you are technically competing with the oligopolies, and traditionally without the sort of DePIN technology, you would have needed billions of dollars to even start a company to compete with these guys. And we've got to a stage now where they're disrupting the energy sector, disrupting the telecoms sector that you guys are. And these have traditionally been extremely difficult industries to break into and to change the narrative. So yeah, it's something that I absolutely love as well. I think a lot of people do. On a more practical basis, though, I'm just thinking, taking a step back, as a user, how do they interact with Wayru? So say if I've got my phone now, my connectivity is fairly poor. How do I interact with Wayru or like the internet providers on your sort of network? How does that work on a practical basis?
First, let's talk about how you deploy your own hotspot, right? So in Wayru, you can do it two ways. You as a Wayru participant, you can deploy your own hotspot by getting a plug-and-play device from us. We sold out of our last batch. We're hoping to open shop soon again, so more people can get our proprietary hotspots. But we also work on firmware. So we have our own proprietary firmware called the Wayru OS, which runs on our devices, and we have extended that compatibility with tens of devices that people can get off the shelf. So you can just buy our device and onboard it through our mobile app, or you can bring a third-party device. You have to, of course, revise the compatibility that we have, which is public. You get one of those devices, you turn it into a Wayru hotspot, and then you onboard it using the Wayru mobile app. So you have those two options. Now, on the user side, if you're a user, you can connect in various ways. First, you can connect directly to the hotspot by opening a captive portal. You will see an open network available. You click there, a captive portal opens. You have two options inside the captive portal, either create an account or log in, or you can just quick connect for 20 minutes, watch an ad, and you're off to go, right? You can just get connected and then you can keep going your way. So these are the two options when you get to the captive portal. If you download our mobile app, it's better because in our mobile app, you have millions of networks shared that are not necessarily Wayru hotspots. People can share networks with their mobile apps and they can share with the password credentials. So those can be added to the network. They will earn from those connections, but they will earn a lot less than if they...
Are these individuals or are they business networks or both?
There's both. You can share your home network. You can share your favorite restaurants network. You can go to the park and you find a network that you have access to. You can share it and pinpoint it in the map, and others can download the Wayru app and they'll see it on the map. They'll get nearby and they'll just connect automatically because the credentials are encrypted on the app. And so users never know these credentials. So if you have a credential in your house that you don't usually share, you can add it to the Wayru app and others will use it without knowing the password because they won't be able to see the password within our app. So that's another way to connect. Users can also, using our mobile app, we have enterprise-grade solution and enterprise-grade connectivity that our routers or our Genesis hotspots provide, and users can tap into with our mobile app. So they, what they do, they set up now to connect profile on their phones, and now they will just get connected automatically on each network. This is using passpoint protocols and open roaming protocols from the Wireless Broadband Alliance. We are a trusted partner from the Wireless Broadband Alliance, and we are getting our credentials of identity providers and access network providers within the Wireless Broadband Alliance. What this is, they have these protocols called open roaming, and they made those available for internet providers around the world. They joined this alliance as we did, and they can become access network providers, meaning our users are going to be able to connect in networks from this alliance, and those users are going to be able to connect on our networks as well. So with the mobile app connects you automatically to these networks, and if there is a captive portal network around, the mobile app will also allow you to go through that process if you prefer. Of course, we try users to get their AutoConnect credentials on their device, so it's a lot easier for them as a user. Their experience is going to be way better if they just move from network to network automatically without having to click connect every time they get a new network. Yeah, this also, and before we go, this also opens possibilities for telcos, mobile telcos, to offload data to our hotspots, having passpoint and open roaming protocols. So this will, of course, bring in more revenue for Wayru, and for our hotspot operators, it will mean more rewards as more users, or there's more use cases for our networks that we're currently deploying.
Before we move on, I really want to ask about, I guess, the challenge and the difficulty when it came to scaling something like Wayru, because in order to ensure sort of value for those early users that come on board and connect to different connectivity and Wi-Fi networks, you need to have some providers already on the system and the network, right? So what's been the biggest challenge when it came to scaling this?
All DePIN projects understand the DePIN flywheel. So we started with the DePIN flywheel where we, of course, reward operators earlier for deploying networks when we don't have a large amount of users yet. But when we started in late 2022 to start releasing our hotspots, the bear market came. So when the bear market comes, there's little to no interest in buying machines, in buying miners, in buying a Wi-Fi miner that doesn't even have a token out yet, right? So we were in a position that we needed to solve that fast. So what we did, we turned to the, not to the supply side, but we turned into the demand side. How do we get users first before we get that demand? So what we did, that's when we released the option of sharing your known Wi-Fi with the password using just the mobile app, where you didn't have to spend money. You could become part of a DePIN, share your known network or known networks that you already have access to, and participate to see how that went. So we started mapping networks ourselves. We got partners around the world to help us map networks. And then we released this to the community a little bit over a year ago. So far, people have shared over 10 million networks with the community before we got the premium access from the hotspot operator. So now that we have a thriving community of over 200,000 downloads, over 100,000 active users, Wi-Fi users on the community, now we get operators more interest because they know that Wayru has a global reach, that Wayru has users, and that Wayru has already solved, let's say, this chicken and egg problem where we already have some networks that users can come and use before we even get the operator. So it's now more interesting for operators because now they can see, well, where are the hot areas in the map where Wayru has already deployed networks, where it's getting more connections, right? Because now they can go and say, hey, there's, I don't know, 20 networks shared here, but those could become hotspots and earn more rewards and provide better connection to the final user. So we think when we did this or when we decided this, we solved getting more users faster in the door while providing a tool in the future for operators to learn how to deploy better. We are creating a new web explorer where we will show hot hexes on the map where users can deploy or where operators can deploy their hotspots because we have more users there or more demand in specific areas. So we can get that facilitated for the community to make better decisions when deploying.
Sounds amazing. Sounds incredible. I want to ask about security because there's been plenty of stories before DePIN, before all of this stuff where people would go into public areas and offer Wi-Fi networks just for the ploy of stealing personal data or, banking information or stuff like that, or, downloading malware or whatever it is. There's loads of sort of stories like that. How does something like Wayru sort of combat those security issues?
Right. So usually when people get hacked through Wi-Fi, it's because they are connecting to a fake network that is being broadcasted by someone's computer or somebody connected through an X antenna broadcasting this network. So you can get just connected to a specific computer or a machine of somebody else. In our case, what we do, we have strong firewall elements in the router, but we also connect each user through a different tunnel. So what this means is when you're regularly connected to a regular Wi-Fi network, it's like a highway, right? Everybody's connected in this same network and we can see each other in different lanes, getting online, getting data from this antenna or this router in this case. What we do, we have like specific private lanes for each car in this highway. So you cannot spoof around and see who else is connected and trying to get them to, or trying to do some phishing or trying to get access to their devices. So we have put some very robust security measures on the network. Also, devices have to be on our network. Devices have to be minted on chain. They go through a process of minting an NFT that represents the device on chain. They have a decentralized ID that is a decentralized ID that allows users to make sure that this is a hardware deployed by Wayru or a hardware that is deployed by a Wayru operator. And yeah, so Wi-Fi protocols today are super secure, but we have gone an extra mile there, trying to get even more security for our users. Additionally, we continuously monitor network performance, implement regular updates, and engage with the community to identify and address possible issues because we cannot predict everything, but we can for sure be vigilant and fix everything that comes our way. But yeah, connecting to a Wayru network, especially through the enterprise protocols, is the most secure way that you can connect to a network. And it's the more secure way for you to also share Wi-Fi as a business. Because again, if you share the password of a business Wi-Fi and you use the same password to access banking, or the same network to access banking or to do anything business related, people with technical expertise will be able to maybe get some of that information when you are sending it to the internet. So that's why we went the route of having a secure tunnel for each connected user on our network.
That sounds amazing. I mean, yeah, I think that's a big concern of a lot of people and businesses. So,
Yes.
yeah, I wanted to ask that question. I want to ask as well around, given the state that you are now as a business, and you talked about, all this coverage and hundreds of thousands of users worldwide. What's been the proudest moment for you? I guess like more of a success story of what you guys have built. I'm assuming it's more on the developing nations and emerging markets side of things.
I think the most proud thing, the thing that I'm most proud of from Wayru is Wayru OS, because Wayru OS opens up possibilities for people to build their own businesses around Wayru. They could build their own devices and sell them. They could start a manufacturing company around Wayru because we can provide the firmware for them to do that. It also allows or brings down the barrier to access a DePIN project because you can get probably a second-hand router for $20 and flash the firmware to ours, and you have yourself a Wayru hotspot right then and there. But if we talk about what we have accomplished, I think we have a partnership going with the United Nations. And when this started, it started because we believe that connectivity, there's places with no connectivity, and we believe that connectivity can be brought to these places in a decentralized way. And of course, with a blockchain element to reward these networks to be deployed so these networks can be self-sustainable. So these low-income communities can deploy their own networks, make them self-sustainable, and they will have only to sustain it and not to pay an operator, right? Which of course will charge them a lot more than what it costs to sustain, especially if you're getting rewarded for having those up and running and being used. So the United Nations decided to test out our hypothesis that a low-income community could have a network deployed there where it will become self-sustainable in time only through usage. So to start this, the Archduke of Luxembourg financed this small pilot, which was crazy for us that's where the UN got the funds from. But it's true. They believe that it's an opportunity to test blockchain out in a very specific and important use case in the real world. So we deployed this network, and the pilot lasted 1 year. Okay. So we were expecting the network to be sustainable after 2 years, 3 years. Once we started getting more people connected, more networks, more hotspots deploying the network because of the rewards that the network was getting. But we actually got it year one. So during year one, we got a lot of connections. We got almost about 1 million gigabytes used on that pilot, and over 60,000 monthly active users, reaching over 500,000 unique users. And we did all this with 42 hotspots deployed in this very, very packed low-income community area. So now this network is self-sustainable. Rewards that are being generated, even though the token is not live, the rewards that are being generated are going to be received by whoever's taking care of the cost today. And yeah, so it has become self-sustainable, and it's a very, very good opportunity for operators to learn that they can be the ones deploying in low-income community areas. It doesn't have to be in an emerging market necessarily. If you go to first world countries, there's also lack of connectivity, and not just in rural areas. I'm talking about around big cities. Like if you research a little bit about where the most lack of connectivity is, for example, in the US, you will see that a lot of these communities that don't have reliable connectivity are communities that are very, very nearby the biggest cities around the world. I'm talking about New York. I'm talking about Miami. I'm talking about
London. London's got
Chicago.
the same problem. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that it happens all around the world. So it doesn't necessarily have to be up a mountain that you need to bring the connection to. It's where a lot of people are requiring connectivity today, especially in a place, if you live near a big city, they need connectivity to access working opportunities, to access so many things that the city provides for the citizens that are living there. So yeah, we believe a city cannot be a smart city if it doesn't have all these citizens connected to the internet. So yeah, probably there's just a couple of cities around the world that can be really smart, considered smart cities. But yeah, we think that we can help or be a main catalyst to bring connectivity to places where there's no connectivity today with our decentralized approach.
Nice. And yeah, it's getting to the end of the podcast now, but I want to ask you, Charvel, before we wrap up, what's up and coming for Wayru? What's on the radar?
Awesome. So we are releasing new docs soon. Maybe by the time this airs, they're already public. It's going to be very soon. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to be releasing opening shop again, so people can get their hotspots, and we're probably gonna have a lot more in stock, so people can continue buying. I know we have a lot of people waiting for us to open shop again, so we're gonna be doing that in the next couple of weeks, maybe within a month. Um, I think that's very important. Also, I think it's very important to know that Wayru being part of the Wireless Broadband Alliance will allow users very, very soon to tap into millions of open roaming protocol networks, meaning they will be able to connect fast, automatically, and securely to over 3.5 million networks from this alliance, which we're very, very, very excited about. Yeah, I think those are the things that are coming up. Um, and yeah, everything else is public now. And maybe some things I cannot release yet. They're going to be released when we release the new things. So yeah, uh, baby steps.
Nice, nice. And then very, very last question. I like to ask every guest
Yeah.
that comes on the podcast this question, Charvel. So what is your favorite use case of DePIN outside of what you guys are working on immediately at Wayru?
Yeah. I think one of my favorite use cases that I've seen is the centralized ownership of autonomous machines. So for example, let's say there's an autonomous car, right? That is connected to an autonomous Uber type protocol. I can just own a piece of that machine, and I am providing a service to somebody by owning that machine somewhere in a decentralized way using DePIN technology. I think that is one of the ones that I am pretty excited about because we in Wayru, something that I could mention that maybe we're going to be releasing in the future, we are releasing something that is going to be uh, called delegated hotspots or hotspot pools, where people can own a device being deployed by somebody else elsewhere, right? So, and this can be applied to so many things, but to so many different machines. I haven't seen that being applied to many. I know that's been applied to autonomous cars in specific use cases. And we, of course, have been talking about doing this for the past couple of years. A lot of people are waiting for us to release that option where you are own an NFT that represents the device and you won't have to take care of the maintenance of the device, but of course you will share the rewards with somebody else. So that's pretty interesting. So yeah, owning the centralized machines that provide services and you can earn. Um, and I think another thing that I really really like is the centralized energy.
Yeah, one of my favorites too.
Definitely one of my favorites. Definitely, I think there's a lot of work to be done there of how the electricity is provided, if it's solar, if it's not solar, if you just I don't know, if it's for charging cars, if it's for charging homes. Like there's so many use cases there, so I'm pretty excited to see all the different approaches that startups take on that path. But that's something that also interests me a lot. Like I once I get my solar panels on my house, I'm going to be one of those users, 100%. So I think that's one of the things that most excites me because I'm going to be a user. It's something that I like because I myself can become one of those users or use one of those, yeah, services. So
Or even if
yeah,
you don't want to be a user, there's still ways, you set up, you basically provide the capital to create solar farms in, say, it's the Sahara or other places where there's a lot of sun. If, say, you're in a country where there isn't so
right.
much sun, but you're still benefiting from the decentralized energy in some way. or you're earning rewards from providing the energy to nearby communities. There's so many different ways of doing it, which is also why it's exciting for me. But yeah, we have to wrap up the podcast there, but it'd be great to hear more around how can people stay in touch with you and Wayru going forward.
Well, follow us on X, Twitter, X, however you want to call it. You can follow me and follow Wayru Network. The one most important thing that you can do today is download our mobile app, because the mobile app will serve you in various ways. You can get connected automatically. You can find networks nearby using our in-app explorer. And of course, you will use that to onboard your own device once you get it. So download our app, join our Discord server and our Telegram channels. And stay tuned for updates via our official channels.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining the podcast. And I'm sure we'll chat very soon. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. Very, very happy to be here. And thank you everybody for tuning in. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you for listening to today's discussion, brought to you by Minima, the real world blockchain. The only layer 1 blockchain lean and compact enough to run in full on any mobile or IoT device. If you're new to DePIN, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter to stay up to date. Thank you so much again. We'll catch you in the next episode.